The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a complex and enduring tragedy, etched in decades of displacement, violence, and mistrust. Its roots reach back to the late 19th century, with the rise of Zionism, a movement advocating for a Jewish state in Palestine. This land, however, was already home to a significant Arab population, predominantly Muslim. The British, who controlled Palestine after World War I, issued conflicting promises to both sides, fueling tensions. In 1948, Israel declared independence, sparking the first Arab-Israeli war and displacing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. The Six-Day War in 1967 saw Israel occupy the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, further displacing Palestinians and complicating the conflict. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, formed in 1964, sought to establish an independent Palestinian state. Years of violence and negotiations followed, culminating in the Oslo Accords of the 1990s. These agreements aimed for a two-state solution, but their implementation faltered, leading to renewed violence and distrust. The Palestinian Authority, established under the Oslo Accords, governs parts of the West Bank, while Hamas, a militant Islamist group, controls Gaza. The failure to achieve a lasting peace has perpetuated a cycle of violence, with periodic outbreaks claiming countless lives on both sides. Gaza, a densely populated coastal strip, has borne the brunt of this conflict, subjected to repeated military operations and a crippling blockade. The year 2023 would mark a terrifying escalation in this decades-long struggle, plunging the region into a new abyss of suffering and despair. On October 7, 2023, Hamas, the militant group controlling Gaza, launched a surprise attack on Israel. The assault, involving rockets, mortars, and ground incursions, targeted civilians and military installations across southern Israel. The day, etched in infamy, became known as Black Saturday as Israeli casualties soared, with over 1,100 reported dead and hundreds more taken hostage. The international community condemned the attack, expressing shock and horror at the scale of violence. Israel, reeling from the assault, responded with swift and overwhelming force. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, facing mounting domestic pressure and accusations of security failures, vowed a response that will reverberate with them, Hamas, for generations. What followed was a relentless aerial bombardment of Gaza, coupled with a complete land, air, and sea blockade. Israel declared its intent to dismantle Hamas's military infrastructure, but the civilian population of Gaza, trapped in a densely populated enclave, bore the devastating consequences. As Israeli airstrikes rained down on Gaza, targeting what it claimed were Hamas military facilities, civilian casualties mounted at an alarming rate. Hospitals, schools, and residential buildings were reduced to rubble, their inhabitants buried beneath the debris. The United Nations reported a catastrophic humanitarian situation unfolding in Gaza, with hospitals overwhelmed, essential supplies dwindling, and the civilian population seeking refuge in overcrowded shelters. The world watched in horror as the once vibrant coastal strip transformed into a scene of unimaginable devastation. By the end of 2024, Gaza resembled a wasteland, scarred by relentless bombardment and crippled by the ongoing blockade. The United Nations estimated that over 46,000 Palestinians, the majority civilians, had perished in the year since the conflict's escalation. The true death toll, however, may never be known, as countless bodies remain trapped beneath the rubble, recovery efforts hampered by the lack of essential equipment and the constant threat of renewed violence. Those who survived faced unimaginable conditions. Over 90% of Gaza's population was displaced, their homes destroyed or deemed uninhabitable. Families huddled in overcrowded UN shelters, makeshift camps, or the ruins of their former lives, exposed to the elements and facing acute shortages of food, clean water, and medical supplies. The healthcare system, already strained before the escalation, had completely collapsed. Hospitals, lacking basic equipment and medicines, resembled war zones themselves, their corridors overflowing with the wounded and dying. The UN warned of a looming famine in Gaza as the blockade choked off essential supplies. Malnutrition rates, particularly among children, soared to alarming levels. The psychological toll of the conflict, particularly on children who had witnessed unimaginable horrors, threatened to create a generation scarred by trauma. Gaza, once a place of vibrant culture and resilience, had become a byword for human suffering, a testament to the devastating consequences of unchecked conflict.